Hi, my name is Sally Bernard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. It's time to trust your intuition. This is your inner knowings. Through questions and points of conversation, I can help others feel empowered. With the ability to touch people's past lives, I help others connect and not feel alone. Sit with me and call in live, 888-994-4995. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I want to introduce my special guest, Steve, my husband, who's here sitting next to me, who has a lot of questions, and I have no idea what he's going to ask me. Okay.
Well, thank you for having me, Sally. And first, I would like to give some good news to your listeners.
Okay.
And that we had a visit from a dear departed spiritual force in the name of Lynn Everhard, and we were able to retrieve all of the transcripts that you and Lynn worked so hard on, so now the book project can finally move forward.
And as you're saying that to me, I'm getting goosebumps. And also I want to mention Louise, who had worked with Lynn over the years, and she said, I think he's watching and he's very happy that we found the transcripts.
Yes.
So hopefully my movie is going to go forward.
Your book and
my book.
From the book, the movie, and then the other movie we're doing here at the cafe. So things are progressing.
It's all going to fall into place, right?
Yep. And you often talk about Aldo and all the things that he did in 18 years that he spent as your mentor. And so I'd like to ask you this, in your first book, Aldo would interpret some of your earlier drawings and paintings.
Right.
And over the weekend, you shared with me that Aldo would explain lots of other things to you. So could you give us an idea of what you mean by that, and what situations would come up, and how long he would sit with you and explain why things are the way they are?
My first immediate answer to that is he spent hours teaching me so much. At first, in the very beginning, I didn't understand, though I knew a lot of things, as you know, part of my story, that were happening to me. He came into my life in the very beginning, just to let people know, of my viewers that may not know my story. Many years ago, we had worked together, Aldo and myself, for about a year, but I had never actually met him. We were in the same place of work, but he'd never approached me. But one night, I went to bed and I had a dream that was so real, that's all I can say. And I couldn't understand where I had been, but for my viewers that know, I was actually astral projecting, but I didn't even know what that meant. And the following day at work, Aldo was there, and he looked at me, and we had our coffee, and we started to talk, and I'm wondering what had happened to me last night. I knew that what I had experienced was some sort of flying experience, which I didn't really understand at all. But he looked at me and he said to me, I know where you were last night. And those words today even ring very true to me. It makes me have goosebumps. And I said, how do you know where I was? He said, I know what you saw. And he proceeded to tell me every single thing that had happened in my dream. I say dream because it was very real to me, what had happened to me that night. I couldn't figure it out in my head, but here was so I thought a strange person that I had worked with, who had not approached me for 1 year, was telling me every single aspect of my dream.
Do you suppose many people have the opportunity to have a guide here on Earth like you had?
I believe we all do, but we've got to wake up to the reality that maybe this is possible, Steve, as you know, and obviously you know me and my husband, but many years ago, if someone had told me my story, I don't know how much I would have understood of it till it actually happened. But my motto is, and I always say this, if you believe it can happen, anything is possible. And you hear me say that many, many times, anything is possible. So part of what I'm trying to do on my show or on my movie that may be coming, well, not maybe, will be coming out, and my book, is that try to believe, even if you don't believe it, just believe that anything is possible.
And you've often said that there are no coincidences.
No, I believe there are no coincidences. There are many things that we have, that timing is important. Sometimes things happen. We ask for things, and it doesn't always happen when we ask it, but there is no coincidences. We may say 4 months later, oh my gosh, look what's happening to me, of a question that maybe I had asked, so to speak. Something may happen, but it may happen in the future. Actually, to just verify that, when we ask for something, I believe anything is possible, but when we ask, we need to say now. That's very important. I mean, that may be not exactly what your question was, but I ask and I say, I want this to happen now, because on the other side, there is no time.
So try, if you will, to explain this. Yesterday, you had an unfortunate incident in that you broke your toe.
Yes, I did.
Now, at home, you always wear your slippers, and according to you, you were about to get up, and you looked at your slippers and decided not to wear them, and the very one time that you decided not to wear them, you bang into the coffee table. What went through your mind when you decided not to wear your slippers?
Yeah, and we had a beautiful evening planned because it was my birthday a few days ago, and we had tickets for Annie. I get up, I said, you know what, I'm sick of putting my slippers on every time I need to go into the other room. I came back, and sure enough, I put my slippers on to save myself from actually bumping into things. I bumped into something and I broke my toe. Well, I turned that round as, I would say, a positive, although we had to miss the show because I wasn't able to walk through into the theater. I didn't want people saying, why is she taking so long? But I believe, and I always will today, as you know, that there are no coincidences. I don't know, and I have no idea what may have happened, but I know something stopped me from going to that show. I'm feeling a little better today with my broken toe, but at that time, at that particular time last night, I was not. Can I tell you, because I don't even know the answer, but I believe I wasn't meant to go to the show, Steve, because I put my slippers on, as you know, all the time, but I didn't that day, and the one day that I don't, I should bump into my coffee table and broke my toe.
So perhaps you visualized perhaps something happening on the road with us going down there, or something happening at the venue?
I don't know the answer to that, but I know that it happened for a reason. That's all I can say. I feel very strongly. Okay, Sandy, yeah, please give me if you talk into your mic and ask me a question on that.
No, I was going to say that before you did that. That everything happens for a reason.
Yes.
No matter what, there's always a reason.
We don't always have to know the answers too, which I don't know. I have no idea. But we didn't go to that show, and I was really looking forward to it. And a dinner that we had at a restaurant just before the show. I break my toe half an hour before. I never walk around without my slippers. So for me personally, I kind of, not everybody has to understand that, but with my belief system, I don't know the answer because I don't know what would have happened. But I feel that something would have happened and it stopped me. I feel also that Aldo, my guide who we talk about, is still guiding me. He probably said, don't put your slippers on, we're going to break a toe. May sound crazy, but that's what I believe. Okay, anybody in the audience, please ask me questions, or Steve, we're both together here right now. Anybody?
Well, just a little while ago, you were talking about a cat and a relationship with Sabrina, your dear departed dog. Can you tell the audience
Yes,
what
that's
happened
a story that I really love. I had the most amazing, and anybody that knows me knows how I felt about my dog who passed away about 4 or 5 years ago, Sabrina. And Aldo, my guide, used to love this dog, absolutely love. Used to sit him on her lap. He would read to this dog. Everybody where I lived would come by and say, what are you doing? He said, I'm reading to her. She understands. So this dog was very special to Aldo and to myself. Well, to fast forward a little bit, she passed away, and of course I was absolutely, anybody that, and you Sandy, I know have your dog here, it was devastating. It's like losing a member of your family. So I was very upset. However, let's fast forward a couple of years now. My dog, I was thinking very much of my dog's name was Sabrina, and I was thinking very much about her. And we were talking about Sabrina, and can you give me the question again? It's for some reason left me.
Yes, and that is, there's a relationship between Sabrina and a particular cat.
Okay, yes. I'm at the Brooklyn Cafe, and there was a lady that actually could communicate. I don't profess to say that I can communicate with animals. I don't know if I can. It's not something that I've done. But this lady was in the cafe where I am now, at the Brooklyn Cafe, and she said to me, have you got a pet that you would like to communicate with? I said, yes, absolutely, my dog Sabrina. So we're sitting and we're talking, and I had once before gone to a psychic, and she said to me that Sabrina was with her, and she kept knocking her leg like this, going, and she said, I believe that your dog is here and is trying to get my attention. Okay, this lady said the same thing, exactly. She said, your dog is here, and she's trying to get my attention. I said, okay, what does she have to say? She proceeded to say that she knew that she wanted to come back, and I believe very much in reincarnation, but the one thing I was not sure about is that animals come back to reincarnate, although Alda had told me that. So she said, your dog is wanting to come back. Steve and I go away a lot, so for me to get another dog is not really something that we should do. So she said to me that your dog, well, I had given the name Sabrina to her. I don't know if she got the name. She said, Sabrina says that she doesn't necessarily want to come back as a dog. In other words, it may be too much work, because if I'm going away, where am I going to put Sabrina? So I said, okay, she's actually accurate, as much as we both are animals lovers, to not have her to come back as a dog. She said, but she's going to come back as a cat. I am not necessarily, I love animals, but my preference, as you know, and as with you know, is dogs. So I said...
And what color cat?
I'm going to get to that. Okay. She said she's going to come back as a silver cat. And I said, okay, I don't really want a cat. And she's saying, I know you don't necessarily, she's actually communicating with Sabrina. She said, I know you don't necessarily want a cat, but I'm going to come back as a cat, and you will recognize me because I'm going to be put on your doorstep. Forgot the whole thing. Said, okay, okay.
And what happened a week later?
That's what I'm going to get to. We go out for dinner with some friends of yours. Not even a week. I think it was a matter of about 3 days. And the wife of your friend, she said to me, we have a cat was silver. She told me she was coming back as a silver cat. Okay, so this was in my mind. We're sitting having dinner, okay, and she said to me, your friend's wife, I won't mention any names, she said to me, Sally, we have a silver cat. I do not want this cat. I love animals, but I can't have the cat. Can I put her on your doorstep? And I mean, you're here, and I'm sorry, Sabrina, if you're listening to me. I said, I can't even take a cat. But she even specified that the cat was silver, and that was my message. So to me, my answer, like what I have understood today is that animals do come back. I'm so sorry, Sabrina, I didn't take you in as a cat, and I have to say that if she's listening, but animals come back. And I know we have an animal lover here and a couple of animal lovers. They pass, it is like our family, and I completely relate to that, but they come back.
So you didn't take the cat?
I didn't take the cat.
You didn't take your dog cat?
As far as I know, she's still got the cat. So she's
And
being
loves
looked
the
after.
cat.
And loves the cat. But we go away a lot, both Steve and I. So, but it was amazing to me. I said, oh my gosh, it's a silver cat. And she had said, this psychic, that she will be put on your doorstep. Yeah. 3 days later.
Another interesting thing about the dog whisperer, the animal psychic, she said that Sabrina was now in human school,
Yes.
learning how to interact with a human family
Yeah,
again.
and I'm getting some absolute goosebumps because Sabrina is here. That was my dog, and she's here right now, and she's sitting right here, okay? Although she may have been a cat, but I think she thought she made the wrong choice and she's gone back. Okay, I'm going to open it up to the studio audience. Anybody that has any questions for either Steve or I. And I just want to mention that Steve, when we first met, you thought I was crazy. Am I right in saying that? Today
Well,
you are one of my biggest
give
fans.
Give a timeline.
Yes.
It wasn't when we met, this time.
No. But when we met 20 years ago, when we first
24
met?
years ago.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm terrible with dates. He did not want to have any part of this, but today we've had so much validation. It's
Yes.
been absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
So anybody that wants to ask me or call in, let me give the number, 888-994-4995, studio. Please call in. We both have had, and I have had for Steve, so much validation. It's been incredible. As you know, Margaret, too, and you know that.
Sally, I have a question for you. Do you feel Lynn coming through with the message?
I absolutely do. To just give my audience a little background on Lynn. Lynn was the person that was writing my book. It took 1 year. I would come into this studio every week, right, for over an hour and a half. We spent talking about my story and what had happened to me. And Lynn and I became very friendly. Unfortunately, as soon as my book was finished, and the person that was writing my book, Lynn Everard. Anybody that had listened would know that he was often a guest on my show. He passed just as soon as we had finished the book. But his very last words were to me, Sally, 1 year later, we have now finished the book, and he passed. But I feel that he's very dear and very close to us right now. I really do. I feel that very
And
strongly.
hopefully he'll continue to be with us as the actual transcripts, get put into the actual production itself, the book itself.
Sally, I feel like Lynn has a message that he's trying to tell you.
He's telling me that I want to give Louise, his co-author, well, they were business partners who actually found, it was in his computer, was able to find my transcripts on the book. I feel that he had a great deal of, he was working very hard on the other side, and he's trying to tell me that. And Lynn, and Louise, who was very close to him, she actually ended up getting some people that could find the transcripts. And she said to me when she texted me the other day, I believe that Lynn is very happy that we found the book. I truly believe with all my heart that Lynn was trying very much from the other side to show us where the book was. We had 1 year of work with an hour and a half on that book. We have now found the transcripts. And I feel that he now can rest in peace.
What do you feel is next for the book? Because I know Lynn is he's here with you, guiding you.
Absolutely, Dawn, 100% he's here. This was his last wish. His last words were to me, we have now finished the book. There was a part of that book that Lynn he got me, he understood that, as you guys know. So all that I was talking about, and some of it, people might have said, oh my gosh, she's crazy. But I never felt that with Lynn. And as we sat down, every session nearly, he would say to me, Aldo's here with me, he's guiding. So now all I can say is that both Aldo and Lynn are guiding me right now. They're both on the other side. Aldo, my spiritual advisor who left me, who was my guide, and Lynn, who wrote my book. I believe that they're here. Can I prove any of this? No, but from everything, I can only show you what's happened to me. I feel very much, as you know too, Steve, that they are both with me today, and they're guiding me to put this book forward. I'm in the right place. I've been at this cafe nearly a year, and I believe that both Dawn and Freddie, do you understand and get me today? That I believe that this is a very, very important message.
So we've been working on your movie a little bit and almost changing the position about trying to find your Aldo.
Okay, yes. I'm glad you brought that up because I loved Find Your Aldo. Aldo was my guide here on earth. He looked from me from a very early age. He never, ever told me who he was until I had opened up and I was having all these out-of-body experiences. But he now introduced himself to me. I don't believe, I'm not unique. I am not special. And you guys who know me know that I never say that I'm special. But I had opened up to something much more than what a lot of people don't see. And you know this, Steve.
Yeah.
There is so much more that we don't know. So even if you don't believe my messages, and I believe that we do this by example, please believe that there is more. Because if you believe that, you're opening up your mind, as you have, because over this last year and a half, or nearly 2 years now that we've known each other, we have experienced so many, many amazing things that have happened to us. But it's not just for us, it's for everybody, our viewers that are listening. Just believe that anything is possible. So keep an open mind. And I have proved this time and time again to you. You are a good example of knowing what's happened. We get validated. And for my viewers, I have some good friends here that know that too, that anything is possible. But keep an open mind and be aware that there is so much more than what we know that is going on, so to speak, behind the scenes.
And I know that Aldo taught you many, many things, and he interpreted, a lot of things. But is there one main message that you can think of that Aldo left with you when he passed?
Yes. Aldo understood, and he came into this world with a lot of understanding. But his message to me was he would not have been sitting here and talking about his story. He told me his story, but his main message to me, and he told me this just before he passed, and I'm going to say transition, be my mouthpiece. Let people know that there is so much more. And today, the more I get into this and the more that I'm on the air, if someone had told me 7 years ago I'd be sitting here doing this, I would say, I don't think so. But today, I feel so much that his message and mine today is so important. To just look beyond what's happening here. And we're going through tremendous difficult times right now, and I'm not belittling that in any way, but just try to, it's hard to say remain positive. I mean, but we need to do this. A classic example, I just broke my toe yesterday.
You did?
I did. And it hurt like, you know what, okay? But I said, okay, everything I believe, I have to tell myself, yes, my toe is broken, I can't help that, but I can take away that pain the best that I can. And this morning I woke up, poor me, my toe is hurting, I can't walk properly. But right now I can honestly say that what I believe is helping me, and I don't ever want to belittle that. I know that I can cure myself. It happened with my shoulder when I broke my shoulder and they wanted to give me surgery. Now, I'm not, just a disclaimer, please, if anything happens, please go to your doctor, because that is important. I'm not telling you not to, but I also believe that we have a great input on our lives of what happens. When I broke my shoulder, on this one I had surgery. I broke 2 shoulders. The second one, I knew what I had in front of me, and I said, no surgery. And they told me, no, you will be back with surgery. I have cured myself today of that, and I'm able to actually lift my arm up. There we go, it's a classic example. They told me I would never have range of motion. I'm not saying don't go to your doctor. That is the last thing that I would say, and you know that too. But I also believe that we have input of what's going on in our body.
Something really special that I think brings us all together in a circle, from Aldo, Lynn, you, me, is that Aldo died on a particular day. And could you explain when and why that's important?
Yeah, it's very important to me, because you actually never met Aldo, because we had known each other for 20 years or so. And unfortunately, it doesn't matter, for whatever reason you had not met him. But I believe that he put us together because he passed on your birthday, and I didn't even realize the significance until you told me the date of your birthday, because although I knew you, I didn't know when your birthday was. I said, oh my gosh, that's the day that Aldo passed. Mm-hmm. So there is so much. My message today is to say that there is so much going on, what we would call behind the scenes. They're here to guide us. You don't even have to believe it. But just look for these little subtle messages. And as you very well know, because we met 20 years ago, and you thought probably that I was crazy. You didn't want any part of that. But I was just beginning my journey. Today, you are definitely a part of this journey, correct?
Yes, definitely. And by the way, if you're listening live on Facebook, please type a message in or call in at 888-994-4995 Studio A and ask Sally anything.
Thank you, Stephen. I believe right now that my message, again, you know, I'm kind of, as best I know, is devoid of any ego. So it's not that I want people to say, oh, she wants the publicity. I don't, but what I want is very much for people to understand this. And I often say I'm getting to the latter part of my life, which is really important for me to say that, because how many years left do I have to be able to tell people? Just believe, please believe that anything is possible. I try to pass my message on by example of what's happened to me, and you know what's happened to me, and you've seen some of these things. I'm not special. I never claim to be special, but I have tapped into something that's very, very important, as you know, Steve. And I just want anybody out there to please, even if you don't believe it, just say to yourself, maybe this could happen to me. When you start believing that, yes, it will happen to you.
Good message.
Thank you.
Sally, I noticed that today there are more and more people coming to hear you speak and to sort of share in the magic of souls, the magic of numbers. Do you feel that perhaps part of your message is the grouping of people to come together and make something special happen?
Absolutely, 100%, Freddie. And I'm glad that you acknowledge that, because my message is not just, it's not for one or two people. It's to carry this message on to a lot of people. And as you can see, I've been in the studio now nearly a year, doing my show every week, nearly once on a Monday. More and more people we are attracting, because that energy, and it was used to be called and still is the law of attraction. But look, and as you know, and as Dawn knows, how many people we have brought into this studio with explanations. Why are they here? Why do we relate? I believe they're drawn to this studio because that energy is going out and it will attract many, many people. I truly believe that. And it's attracting the people to come in, or not necessarily even into the studio, that are now listening. I have an audience going even into England, where I'm from. I'm getting people from England saying they're listening somehow through Facebook to my show, Call Me Zena. They are listening to me today. It's very important.
Well, we had a meeting this morning. We were talking about the movie and the part of putting it together. And we came up to the conclusion that the movie, once it plays in a cinema, in a public place, that the crowd becomes part of the making of this movie because of the energies involved. I just wanted to know, can you elaborate a little bit? Why is it so important right now to have the collective, all these different energies coming at once?
It's very important, because especially what's going in the world today, it's hard to say let's be positive, but try and find something that has positivity to it, because we attract that energy. Energy attracts where we're sending it. So if we come back with a lot of, say, like negativity, and I'm the first one to say that I don't always do this, but once we start putting that forward, more negativity comes. It's hard to remain positive. The world today, it's unfortunate, so much is going on. But let's try and find a little spark of that, and that will attract positivity. And with that, we will attract people coming into, just let's say, use this Brooklyn Cafe as an example. We will start attracting people that are unfortunately listening, and we can't help. We need to listen to the news, but that positivity we will bring, even if we bring it into just this small space in the studio, it's going out somewhere to someone else. In groups, the more we actually say let's be positive, we can, who am I to say we're going to change the situation? But we can help this situation of the world today. It's terrible right now, and I'm the first person to admit it. But let's try and bring positivity somewhere, something good that may happen in our lives. Let's spread that too. It helps to bring in positivity.
I have a question for Steve.
Yes, Freddie.
Steve, you've been married to your wife now close to a year, yes? Anniversary's coming up.
2 months.
Have you noticed any changes in your life since you've met Sarah?
Boy, is that a loaded question.
Well, you know what I mean, in the spiritual sense.
Yes, absolutely in the spiritual sense. You know, I always considered myself as a spiritual person, but I didn't really know what that meant until being with Sally. I knew I wasn't a religious man, but there was a spirituality, and then something happened 13 years ago that enhanced my spirituality. But when I met Sally, and I started to learn all of the things that she went through and she experienced, you know, both on Earth and otherworldly places, it just opened me wide up to the possibilities that I'd never considered before. And just like Aldo taught Sally many things, almost on a daily basis, Sally takes a few moments and we could be watching a TV program and she'll pop up and say, I just have to tell you this, and she'll go on for about 10 minutes, you know, like possessed from beyond, and explain a certain situation. And I enjoy these sessions, and I get a lot out of them. So yes, Sally has opened me up to things I might not have, definitely wouldn't have considered in the past.
Take a commercial break.
Okay, we'll be back in a few minutes. Please don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. This world, this life, this illusion. What is going on, we ask? What is happening? Why not take time and see what is happening? This world as we know it, it seems so real, and yet so far away from where we've come. Corruption, greed, anger, power, revenge. Please wake up. We can change what is around us. How, we may ask? Learn to go back to where we were. Then we will have the clues. Then we can change and go forward. Please take the time. Do not fall into the game which we have put upon ourselves. We can change. We can make a difference. We have the power, each and every one of us. Go in peace. Go with love. Go as one. Zena.
A true story, Call Me Zena, is the telling of Sally Bernard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came to the U.S. in 1979. A mother of 2 and grandmother of 4, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the 3rd dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest in art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she's able to astral project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life's direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today.
You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Bernard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you could always seek me out for resources. Visit artbysallybernard.com today. Now, back to the show. Hi, second half of our show. Okay, any questions? Anybody in the audience? Please feel free to ask me anything.
As we know, we've been friends for many, many years. And when I first met you, you were just about learning whatever it is that, you know, you were saying. And Aldo was a special person to everyone that he met, because the way, I'm getting goosebumps. And that's how it affected. When Sally talks about Aldo, I get the goosebumps. I don't get the right up into my face. But it's true, he was a very nice man. And what he's taught you, I was amazed and still am, but I still have incidents where we're together and something happens and about to say, it was meant to be, you
That's
know.
right.
In other words, I could go through a lot of things that we've experienced together, and just amazing. And then to see you now at the level you're at, it's even more amazing. And I
Thank
love you
you.
for it.
Thank you so much, Margaret. Margaret's been my friend now close to about 30 years, maybe. I don't know, but you have seen this whole thing unfold, and I'm very happy that you're here today in the studio, as I am with Sandy too. Both of you, my two good friends that I don't see much of, but have seen this happen in front of, so to speak, as they would say, in front of your eyes. Aldo knew you very well, loved you very much, Margaret, and you've seen everything, and you knew him very well that he was able to do and what he taught me. And thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
One of my biggest regrets is not having had the opportunity to meet Aldo.
But through him, my spirit speaks from what he's telling me, and you see, and as an example, what we have, and maybe you would tell the story of what we have, something in our living room that lights up when we talk to him.
Yeah. There's something that's plugged into the socket that's supposed to control dust. I don't know that that does anything, but a blue light comes on the top of it, and we have determined, since we have a similar one in the bedroom that just stays constant blue, while this one, you know, just sparks on and off, that's Aldo communicating with us.
Well, we ask a question, and what
Right.
happens? It goes on and off, right?
And then there was the time that I actually kissed you in the living room, and he went berserk. It was just-
Yeah, so I have validation of what's happening to me.
you know, we spoke earlier in the show about you know, being fortunate to have found the transcripts for your new book. How would you say the new book and the material that you and Lynn sat and talked about, how would you say it will be different than your first book?
Well, because I understand more, Steve, and I've gone into more detail. I'm understanding why a lot of these things had happened to me, which through talking to Lynn here, that I was transcribing some of the things that had happened. They had more meaning because I was beginning to understand more than when I first wrote my first book. I was just documenting basically my astral projection, which I have now come forward with, and I have no reason to not mention this, that I was abducted many times. I did not understand that. But now, with my new book coming forward, I understand both the astral projection and the abduction, and I feel that I have definitely help from the other side as far as this goes. I do not mind saying this anymore.
So describe for the listeners the actual difference between your astral projections and the abductions.
Okay, that's a really good question. I'm glad you asked me that. My astral projection was many times I would see many places in London where I had been, many different things where I was not communicating with people. I could see various places in London, and even actually, perhaps even on other planets, I could see what I was seeing. But my abductions today, and I'm understanding more, is that I was taken in a vessel, I was talking to people, and I was actually put onto other planets, which at the time I didn't understand. I didn't even understand astral projection, but I know today it's very real. But I had many, many times that I was abducted.
So how would you say that these abductions have changed you for the better?
I can never go back to how I was. I know what I saw. I know what I felt. I've had validation on this. Once this happens, and there are many people out there might say, I had a strange dream. I documented a lot of my dreams at that point, so I thought were dreams. I changed. I became very psychic. I became, as you know, very into, an empath. I could feel people's emotions. My whole personality changed completely. And you've seen part of that today. You know, I feel what people are feeling. As I didn't even know at that time what an empath was. I've obviously read about it, so I can feel what people are going through. I believe this is all part of my journey.
So everything that's happened in your journey, and all the resources that are now available to us from us finding the transcript of your book, where do you see this all going? What is the plan for your future?
My plan is to help people maybe understand I'm not the only one that's experienced this, to give them an insight into what's happening to me. I often hear and they tell me, show this by example. So if I go forward with my message, I'm going to sneeze, and this happens every time. This is really weird. I'm going to let you talk. Why does this happen? For people that know me, I don't sneeze, but it's something. Thank you. Dawn and Freddie, you know this? I never sneeze. Please continue. It's weird. They're here with me, absolutely here with me. How does this happen?
Well, maybe somebody up there doesn't want you to communicate the way you are.
Either that or they're telling me that I'm getting completely validated by a sneeze. I don't go around sneezing, but the moment I come onto this show, Dawn, how many times do you bring me water because I'm sneezing? I finish the show and I don't sneeze anymore. They're real. My message is, please believe that. They're here with me. They're talking to me. And I think they want me to sneeze to show that this is real. You know, how many times do I sneeze?
No.
Never. But on this show, I always sneeze. It's some sort of validation. I'm sorry, back to your question.
You're one of the 7 dwarfs, sneezy.
Back to your question.
I was asking what the plan is for the future.
My plan is to, we have started to go forward with my movie. I want this to come out to the people to understand. I can only show people what have happened to me by example. How do I get that example out? It's going into the airways by making a movie, by writing a book. Not everybody might want to write my book, but at least it's out there for future generations. I know what's happened to me. You know what's happened to me, Steve. You've seen me be able to draw from previous lifetimes, and this is not out of ego. I have drawn people, places, and things from the 15th century and before that, who Aldo interpreted. I had no idea. Please, I want people to hear my message. Keep an open mind. Don't have to believe it, but please keep an open mind and hear my message. My movie and my story and my book will show you many things that led up to this, and that's what's really important today.
That's good. You know, as you well know, tomorrow is the birthday of my dear son, who I lost too early 9 years ago. He would have been 51 tomorrow, and I was wondering if you feel anything in the room, since I'm missing him so much with his birthday coming up tomorrow.
Well, you know, and very often when we bring this up, I also lost my daughter a year and a half ago too. I feel, and it's not something that I wish, I mean, I hope it's true, but I feel that very much they are together right now. I feel that they're here right now listening to this show. And I also want to bring Dawn into this too. Dawn, how many times have you told me that there are daisies around me? And
All
I
the
feel
time.
that to give my daughter the presence, that I feel that she's listening to my show, and that also goes into your son listening to this show, and I'm going to sneeze again.
Well, I just showed you today there were 2 feathers when you were sitting, Steve, on the table.
You did.
When you got up today from
True.
the midday show,
Steve's
there were
son
2
and my
feathers sitting
daughter.
right where you were sitting.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I'm going to sneeze.
She's going to sneeze. I showed him to Sally. Poor Sally.
This is beyond. I can't make myself sneeze. This is that's a validation. They're telling me. Why do I sneeze like this? They're here. Your son and my daughter are here to show them that they are around us today. Sandy also, if you don't mind me mentioning, my good friend who had also lost a son. I feel his presence too. As you know, many years ago, I gave you many messages, and I feel that they're all around us today. They are. And I just want to let you know that too. Okay.
Thank you. I also have a question. I was in the ocean and I was met by a big, huge shark, black eyes, and it was very stunning, overwhelming, scream. And the lifeguards came down, don't worry, they'll never come back. Anyway, I had that vision. But I do have visions of things sometimes, not necessarily that, but the ocean was a sign of a white dove. I had my hand out, I was holding a white dove. And then all of a sudden, with the, not a whale, but a fish, big fish, came up and popped out another white dove. And I held my hand out. So now I have two white doves. And I had this vision many times several years ago. Is there something that's supposed to be telling me?
What I'm feeling right now is have hope. You've had a lot of experiences, Sandy, but what it is, it's bringing to you the feeling of this spirituality that I have. We've had many things in common, as you know. I won't go into it all, but I think you're starting your road now to really understand what you have gone through. The dove is hope. As far all I can tell you, it's hope. And the fact that you say you had two, right? So it's double hope. Please begin to follow this till we're similar ages. We're getting to the latter part of our life. But my message is, and I'm glad you found the studio here, and I hope to see you many times here and also on my show, Sandy. But they're showing you have gone through, if people know your story a little bit, and I won't go into it now, but we can talk about it on our show, that you've had a lot of what we would call negative vibrations. But you're coming to the end of our journey, and you have this, you understand this, and I've told you that. It's not just on my show. Open up more, and you'll find that the latter part of your life is going to be amazing. I know you may not see that now, but you're suddenly going to understand all that I'm understanding. I've always said that to you. I knew that. So keep an open mind. Come to my show, be my guest. And they're showing you the two doves to give you hope. Okay, does that make sense to you? Can you see that a little bit? Yeah, but remain positive. As for anybody that's listening, don't feed into the it's hard, but let's try not to feel into the negativity. We all have. Things happen. We're in life. We're here to learn. But let's try to see the other side of it a little bit. Maybe this is happening to us because I'm meant to learn something, and now I understand that, so now I'm ready to learn what that meant. Does that make sense? Thank you.
I just want to say that white doves mean good luck, and that means that good things are going to come. They do mean good luck.
And to my fellow Sandy, who you are, I'm glad that you both have the same name. And I said, I will remember your name because I have a friend, Sandy, and that was important because Sandy's also very psychic.
Hey, Sally.
Hi.
It's my brothers and sisters' birthday today. I wanted to know what their guides are saying for them for today.
Okay, now is it one particular person or there's a few birthdays going on here?
It's two birthdays. They're born
Okay, I
about
felt
a year
that.
apart.
Yeah, that you're sitting here to tell them that whatever they're experiencing, they are, and I often say this to you, and I know it's always the same message, but you are like the leader of this, if that makes sense. What you say to them is very important. They're listening to you. You may not always think that, but you have a lot of intuition going on here. I was able to get your guide, as you very well know too, and anybody that's listening. So lead them into the right direction. You will know what to say to them. They actually, although they may not always tell you this, they listen to what you're saying. Does that make sense at all? You might say, I'm getting nowhere with them, but you are. Be an example to them, okay? Be a good example because you're able to do this. You know that.
Yes, ma'am.
There was a message that came up a moment ago from a low Poe. If we can get that message back up, thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Sally, I wanted to know what my guides have for me this week. It has been an emotional roller coaster, but now I feel calmer. What should I look forward to?
all good things. Okay, right away I'm feeling all good things. Okay, yes, you have been on a roller coaster, but a roller coaster has to stop, and it's stopping, and it's showing you get off that roller coaster, believe what you want, feel it, and it will happen.
Thank you. And thank you for the message, Lopo.
Thank you for calling in, for writing in.
By the way, if you want to contact Sally personally, it's callmezena1111@gmail.com.
And Linda says, if Bella comes back, she has to come back as a dog.
Oh, not a cat.
And she can attest to the fact that Steve has changed since he met you, Sally. Mindy
Thanks.
says, I told you it's spiritual. You do that with her as well. And then Mindy says, you must be allergic to Steve.
Must be.
That's what Linda says. You're allergic to Steve. And then Mindy says, yes, it's the guides. And Linda says, black dogs linger in shelters a long time because people think they are bad luck. And she strongly disagrees.
Okay, thank you, Linda, for your comments. You know me. We met actually this time last year, a year ago, and it's your cousin who you're
Yes.
very, very close to. So thank you for calling in. Thank you for writing that message. And yes, he has changed. I feel like I've changed him slightly.
I think we've mentioned this before on the show, but a year ago when we were up in New York and you met Linda, something very, very interesting happened as we were having brunch. Do you remember the incident?
Yes, I absolutely do. We went to a restaurant. We were there because my birthday just passed. We were there.
Right.
You took me for my birthday, and we were sitting in a restaurant. And this is your cousin Linda, and we were talking. And I believe she lost her mother at a very early age.
Yes.
And we were talking, and we were reminiscing about this. And I said, you know what? They can come back to us sometimes through electricity. A light will go on, a light will go off. We're in a restaurant at breakfast. There was a light above us. As I was saying that, what happened?
The light
The
flickered
light
and went off
Yeah.
and came
So,
back on.
Linda, you know that that was validation for both of us. I know you're not actually sitting in the studio, but I'm talking to you. You know that that was great validation.
Steve, have you ever felt that you found your Aldo?
No, at one time I suggested to Sally that perhaps you're my Aldo, and I got shut down very quickly when I suggested that, and I think that was silly of me to think that, but no, I have not found my Aldo, and I often find myself wishing I can find my Aldo.
I think that that's the call to action right now that the messenger is delivering, that finding an Aldo is not as simple as checkers. It may take a little bit more knowledgeable about ourselves. Have you seen an opportunity where perhaps maybe your Aldo exists for you?
Well, I went through a very difficult period in my life, which started my metamorphosis into the man I am today. I'm not afraid to talk about it. I was a compulsive gambler. I am a compulsive gambler. It's been, this coming November will be 13 years, and by the way, my date of sobriety is 11/11, which is a very important number to us in the spiritual world. And I went through my initial spiritual awakening during my recovery period. And so I drew from a lot of people. I was in the program for a while, but I drew from, I put my own personal team together of a financial mentor, a spiritual mentor, other people that have been in other programs, talk about that. So I believe one person who is no longer with us could have qualified to be my Aldo. I just didn't have the opportunity to continue talking to him long enough. Somebody that came back into my life after 30 years at that point. So maybe my friend Lou was my Aldo, but I never really got a chance to explore that.
Interesting. And Sally, I guess in retrospect to what Steve just pointed out, how do you realize that perhaps you're on the right path to find your Aldo?
Well, Mine was kind of what I'm going to say undeniable to me. It was presented to me in such a way that I couldn't dispute. I didn't know what Aldo was going to be to me, but I could not understand how someone had come forward and explained my whole dream. I was very stubborn. You have had a little bit of, I'm going to say, advantage in a way, because you are overcoming an addiction that you had, which is really good. I'm not saying it's good, but you're beginning to open up to many things. I couldn't really see too much what was happening. I'm now beginning to able to draw, which Aldo then presented to me. A lot of my drawings, that what I had done were from previous lives. So mine was presented to me black and white. Sometimes it's not always that easy to learn, but when you come, so to speak, in an addiction and you begin to come out of an addiction, which you were great to open up to the fact that you had this, we begin to see more. We get more clarity. I was in the midst of, I don't know, I'd had a lot of dramas in my life, whatever happened. And here was someone that came along that was explaining things to me, of things that were happening to me now that I was able to see that was happening. I believe we all have, and as we had talked about, let's call this Find Our Aldo, because that's very important. We all have an Aldo. We're not always ready. We're not always ready to accept it, but just know that we all do have guides. Aldo is my guide, plus other guides. We don't just have one, we have many guides. As you know too, because I actually gave you your guide's name, that I had no way of knowing that you had been told before. So they're working with us on the other side, because your guide is on the other side. So it's just, we get proof, we get validation, but you know what? It can just pass us by. But let's try to open up and say, oh, that seems like that was validation. Why did that happen? Maybe they're talking to us. That's important.
And that validation might not be as, smack across the face like I know where you were last night. So if we're looking for that person to come and tell us where we were last night, that might not happen.
No, it comes in different forms. Yeah. I mean, we might be thinking of something and suddenly that thing that we were thinking of may appear. It could be a dog, it could be a cat, as I just told my story. I had more validation because I was able to draw a lot of that. Not everybody's going to have that, but they may have something else.
Can someone's self be their own Aldo?
Can someone?
Can someone's self be their own Aldo?
Can they own an Aldo?
Can someone's self be their own
Aldo?
Can we ourselves be our own? No, we have a guide, but we become meshed with that guide. In other words, what I had with Aldo, I feel that he's with me. So part of me is experience what Aldo tells me, and this is coming to me very strong. So if we believe we've got someone guiding us, we're actually here on this, where we are now, carrying out what they're telling us to do. So I feel they're telling me mesh. We mesh with them. Okay, and that could be something else. We will feel their presence, but we're all so quick to say, I'm imagining that. No, we're not imagining that. It's very real. It's very real. I mentioned we go with our gut, but that's how we are able to kind of analyze it a little bit. My gut instinct is not to do that. Go with what we feel that we shouldn't do. We'll see. We don't know always the outcome, whether it was right or wrong, but let's follow that. Let's follow that.
And our guides are like our past lives?
Well, yes, we have many guides. Some of them we've had many lifetimes with. Some of them come into, as one of my guides came into this lifetime. They don't have to be in this lifetime with us. They're coming in from other lifetimes that we've had. We have what we call a soul group of people. We come in with them, but we don't come in every single time. They're here to guide us into our lifetime here, where they're somewhere else, be able to see more what's happening to us.
Didn't Aldo share with you once that you were together like in some medieval period and you actually chopped his head off?
You weren't meant to say that,
well,
but that's okay. Yes, he did. That wasn't the main lifetime. He used to say to me, I was a male in that particular lifetime. I think we're wrapping it up, and there's a reason we're wrapping this up. He used to say, if I had an argument with him, I know what you did to me. And I said, but I don't remember. But it was very real, yes. Okay, I think we have to wrap this up now. Thank you. And that finished on a very strange note. Okay, I'll see you next week. Thank you. Thank you, Steve, for being my guest today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for everybody here.
I need your number.
Coincidence or not, it's time to trust your intuition and knowings. Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Bernard, and you can find my book, artwork, and contact through artbysallybernard.com. Join us next week. This has been Call Me Zena.